Dear Mother, you will be quite pleased to hear that I am no longer in the direct employ of Lucan. As directed, we made our way to meet him at the gates to Terrebonne. It is a fascinating city. It is a melting pot of cultures, apparent by the architecture of the city itself. The city gate was housed in a large archway covered in gold serpent etchings. 2 guards from the House of Whitetail stood at the entrance in full armor. They held heavy tower shields, and their faces were covered by ornate masks attached to their helmets. Just inside the gates we found Lucan. I was surprised to find him dressed in his traveling clothes. He informed us that we would be contacted in the coming weeks by his employer, as they were still very interested in meeting with all of us. Ezra thanked Lucan for exonerating him and his father. Lucan, who looked rather annoyed, waved his hand and said Ezra should thank his employer. Lucan then explained that he was on a mission to track the Infinite Sight and procure Ezra's book. Sarai looked skeptical. She warned Lucan of the danger he was bound to find within the book. Lucan assured us that he would be fine. Honestly, Mother, I've seen Lucan in combat before, and while he certainly is skilled, the Infinite Sight nearly killed my entire group. Lucan is just one man. Unless he plans on charming his way to the book, I can't imagine a scenario in which he comes out unscathed. I spoke with Lucan privately before he left. I tried to reconcile with him, help him understand my decision and actions. He quickly twisted my words around and used them against me. I left the conversation feeling confused, frustrated, and perhaps a bit heartbroken. Bolt led us to the Satin Cat, a lovely inn sporting a sign with a cat on a pillow out front. The banner for House Janik was hanging in the window. House Janik is one of the noble houses here in Terrebonne. It is made up primarily of artificers. The house is responsible for the inventing and creating of machines and tools to better the city. They stand out a bit as they don't wear noble clothing, but sport their wearable inventions. A clockwork hat with miniature dancers teetering along the brim, a caged skirt that glides along the ground on wheels while its wearer rests their feet, even a backpack that has extendable arms. Imagine how helpful that would be when picking fruit from the tall bullpit tree. We followed Bolt through the door of the Satin Cat as they called out to Janjin. We heard a crash, and a gnome woman with graying hair in a tall bun and massive goggles exploded through the far door and ran to embrace Bolt in a fierce hug. Bolt patted the gnome's back endearingly. We learned that this gnome, Janjin, and Bolt have known each other for a very long time. When Bolt first came to Terrebonne, they lived with House Janik. Their aim was to learn to tinker and invent. They also hoped to learn who they were and where they came from, but after nearly a decade, Bolt was used merely as a party trick of sorts and never given the opportunity to learn. Janjin's family, the Haverench house, are a branch off from the main Janik house. They welcomed Bolt to their home with open arms. Janjin was just a child then, and she treats Bolt much like a brother. A little button-pushing, a lot of quarreling, but all of this is overshadowed by the love they share for one another. Janjin, who is the mother to 23 children, made us feel most welcome. She immediately filled us with food and drink as she and Bolt caught up. I kept expecting to see a cat prowling about. After all, we were staying at the Satin Cat. Finally, Janjin pulled a little hairpin out of her bun, and we watched it transform into a cat made of lightning. Sarai couldn't help herself and kept putting her hand to the cat. Each time it sent a little arc of energy up her arm, and her hair was soon standing on end. Bolt showed Janjin the owl they made. She eyed him suspiciously. Apparently, people around here have been participating in underground mechanical animal racing. Janjin admitted that her husband sneaks out to join the races, and she didn't seem at all happy about it. Bolt and Janjin retired to the workshop for a tune-up while the rest of us relaxed in our rooms. We spent the next several days exploring and enjoying the sights of Terrebonne. Each morning, Ezra visits the local Tushan training facility. After a few days, Victor mustered the courage to join him. They even had the opportunity to witness a Tushan duel. They excitedly retold the encounter, including a laborious reading of grievances. It sounded a bit boring to me, but I was happy to hear they enjoyed it so. Those two are peas in a pod. Though they belong to different creeds, their ideals are not so different. The Tushins are focused on the science of war, whereas the Eight Rings are more concerned with the art of war. A lovely yin and yang. I like to think of Ezra and Victor as brothers. Where one goes, the other is often not far behind. I took Sari to Lucan's house where I lived before I left Terabon. She was not impressed. Lucan is an expert in deception. Even his home is a testament to his craft. From the outside, you would think he is a nobleman himself, a grand facade with ornate decoration and beautiful shining trim. But inside, his home is run down and empty, void of the luxuries one would imagine him to possess. Perhaps Lucan's home is a metaphor for his own life. He certainly hides his shortcomings skillfully. Sarai and I visited the Bray Alan tree. It was crafted by House Bray, a noble house of druids who order and distribute spellcasting materials for all of Terabon. One can see the sparkling of Bray Alan from blocks away. The small sapling grew into a huge tree over the course of a few days after being exposed to magic. Shining crystals hang from the branches, and the bark and leaves emit a violet hue. The tree is filled with nature fairies and dryads, all crystalline in nature. If I were able to be alone with the tree, I could spend hours there communing with the trio. Unfortunately, it's become quite the tourist attraction, which dampens its allure for me. After a week of working on the mechanical owl, Bolt and Janjin put in the final component, making it a completed masterpiece. Bolt gifted the owl to Janjin, and it glides about the inn, roosting above the electric cat's satin pillow. Janjin has quite the menagerie now. I have been sulking about a bit. I'm embarrassed to admit that Lucan's words to me at the gate cut me to the quick. I've put so much stock into what he says, basing my worth on his opinion of me. Today, Ezra quietly knocked on my door and presented me with a plate of goodies. Figs dripping in honey, delectable cheeses, all kinds of nuts, and even a handful of Luna berries. He is so sweet and listened to my woes. He was careful not to try to fix my problems, but instead offered undeserved kindness and support. As we were eating our sorrows, the room was suddenly filled with an overwhelming lilac scent. I turned to find the smell was coming from my communication ring. I touched the ring and pulled a rolled parchment out of it. The wax seal on the letter was embossed with the House Crestor emblem. The note included only an address and time to meet. We took the note to Janjin, and she confirmed that the address would take us to House Crestor. House Crestor, a house of magic users, was founded years ago by Lady Belana Crestor. The house is responsible for regulating magic trade within the city. We immediately took a water taxi to House Crestor and arrived just in time for our meeting. The Crestor house is large and foreboding. It is made from a wood so dark it almost appears black. If it were not for the light shining from the windows, one could almost miss the home entirely in the middle of the night. 2 guards in black-plated armor led us in the front gates. A gnarled dead tree was the only vegetation inside the fenced yard, yet the perfume of lilac filled our noses. Ezra and Bolt whispered to each other that they swore they could smell decay beneath the flowery scent. We approached the looming doors and knocked one time. The huge doors swung open, and we were met by a massive guard in full plate armor. He didn't say anything, but eyed us over. When his eyes finally landed on Ezra, he motioned for us to enter the home. Our footsteps echoed on the marble floors in the immense foyer. Every little adjustment of armor, every shuffling of our feet, every heavy breath reverberated up the walls and became lost in the dome-shaped ceiling. We heard a scrabbling sound, like little claws scraping on rocks. A huge treasure chest scuttled toward us down a grand staircase, its slobbering tongue hanging out of its pointy-toothed mouth. Victor made a little squeak and took a step behind Ezra. I think our last encounter with such a beast has scarred him. We all put our hands to our weapons, but before we could draw, the loveliest woman appeared at the top of the staircase. Her skin was an unmarred alabaster white. Her face, which was framed by a silver and black streaked bob, was perfectly proportioned. She had a slender nose, the tip of which was slightly upturned, full pouting lips, high defined cheekbones, and a jawline that looked as if it had been carved by the most skilled sculptor in Aneria. Bright, round blue eyes surveyed us behind a splay of thick black lashes. There was no doubt that we were standing before Lady Belena herself. She is the tallest woman I've ever met, even towering over Bolt, more than 7 feet of breathtaking beauty. She was wearing a silken orange dress with black trim. A sparkling ruby pendant hung from her neck, matching the teardropped rubies on her ears. When Lady Crestor spoke, she sounded much older than she looked. Her voice was deep and mature. She invited us into the parlor. We all sat, a bit uncomfortably, on her fine furniture. She studied Ezra for a bit. Finally, she nodded, saying that they hadn't taken all of the magic out of him. What Lady Belana revealed to us next, I am not sure I believe in its entirety. Lady Belana used to be a member of the Infinite Sight herself. She recognized Ezra because she knows Ezra's parents, as they were both members of the Infinite Sight as well. As Lady Belana spoke, I looked to Ezra. His mouth was hanging open in disbelief. Ezra's book was actually an ancient text, considered quite sacred and holy. Ezra's mother began searching and studying the book, looking for a specific ancient prophecy. This prophecy, she claimed, was dependent on Ezra. He would become a catalyst for change, to bring about the end of days and act as a savior for her people. Outraged at the idea of his son being used against his will, Ezra's father stole the book and hid it from the Infinite Sight, parting ways with his bride and taking Ezra with him. I saw Ezra swallow back his emotions. I can only imagine how he must have felt in the moment. Whether what Lady Crestor said is true or not, it is difficult to imagine that your whole upbringing has been a lie. The room was thick with tension. Lady Crestor motioned to her treasure chest pet. He opened his mouth and she pulled out a locked leather journal. She explained that the Infinite Sight has tried to change her past and alter her memories, but that she keeps a time vault, a detailed record that even time magic cannot change, to remind her of the true past. She even revealed to us that Ezra himself has been changed. His true past before we met with the Infinite Sight was very different than the one he remembers. It is quite terrifying, Mother. The fact that someone has such power and magic that they can change our very perception of reality. It is times like this that I can appreciate the philosophies of our people as masochists. But rejecting the use of magic doesn't make it any less powerful or any less real. Lady Belana has extended an offer to us. She would like us to work for her directly. Though she currently employs Lucan, I no longer have need to work for him. I will answer only to Lady Belana. That little wounded heart of mine pounded with joy at this news. I am finally free of Lucan and can move forward as a true member of the Wayward Watch. Lady Belana has tasked us with rooting out the presence of the Infinite Sight in Terabon. She has detected a faint aura of chronomancy around House Greenwood. She suggested we start with Braff Greenwood, one of the sons of the Greenwood house. She gifted us each a badge sporting the Crestor house emblem, and we all signed a magically binding contract to fulfill her charge. I am feeling happier than I have in a very long time. My station in life evolves each day, and with the Wayward Watch, I think I have a shot at fulfilling the wishes of my ladies. I love you, Mother. Eve.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Session 16 of Tales of Aneria. Haptic. bring the volume
Yeah,
down on
sorry.
that a little bit.
That's okay, we always
Headphone
do.
warning, like 2 seconds ago. Flash the headphone warning now. But we're all back.
I cap it. I cap it so that everyone's
All right.
loudest moments are not too loud.
Okay, perfect.
Should we test that?
Do you know what I noticed? You need to take my voice, especially when I laugh, put it to like 0.
No way.
It is
No way.
the most
No.
annoying laugh.
Whatever.
It is.
No.
I'm like, ah!
You're from Friends?
Ah!
My laugh is 10 times worse, so you don't get any special
Laugh.
treatment.
Prove
Well,
it.
I can't laugh on command, although apparently I can. It honestly, I have like 12 different laughs.
Every time
See if you can spot them all.
you laugh, it brings joy into the episode.
Mhm.
From
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
We
laugh
get-
at
we
pretty
get-
much everything.
we
I'm
get
easily entertained.
5 new subscribers.
Per laugh.
Every
Oh,
time
it's
a
like
Tory
every
laughs.
time a bell rings.
Yep.
Every time
The
you
angel
clap
gets
your
We
his
get
hands.
5 new
I
subscribers.
A subscriber gets their wings.
Apparently, I have to laugh, or I have to make Tori laugh a lot more because we got both those numbers.
That's right.
But welcome back to Tales of Aneria. Last time you guys had just left the Crestor mansion, new patron in your pocket for the time being. You're getting 10 gold a day, which is a huge retainer for being on the job. Like that's incredible. Typically, because I looked up patrons after I announced
After you
this.
gave us one.
Yep, it's about 1 gold per day for a retainer. So
We gotta
this is a active, like, you are doing a job, you get 10
Well,
gold per day.
To be fair, Lady Crestor has been alive for a really long time, apparently. We don't know how,
She's been
but
hoarding her gold.
yeah.
It's a generation.
They're all in that
She's a
time.
little
It's all in that time vault. mission.
Ooh, she smells stinky though, so I think she's
Furiously tight.
I think she's a witch and she's living in a
No
bog.
way, she's a vampire.
I know.
I'm
You know how I feel about
thinking
witches.
I'm thinking lich. I vote lich.
These are all fantastic theories, and I'm going to give everybody an epic die because they each had a theory. Maybe one of them was correct, maybe not.
Do you think we'll meet
I love
cat
it.
again?
Sorry.
Thank you.
I've been assaulted.
So I just went through the last episode, and we did not roll a single dice last time. So
Wow.
that was some great
Oh,
roleplay.
no.
Hopefully you all enjoyed it.
What was the next one?
Oh no! And let's go ahead
Yeah,
and
we're
get started
rusty.
with that.
We're rusty.
So you have a new goal in mind.
Yes.
Does anybody remember what that goal is?
Find the Greenwood
Discreetly
punchy face.
Greenwood
Braff.
attack.
Greenwood.
I mean, I don't know if attack was implicit in
search for-
our.
I don't know.
Braff
Discreetly
Greenwood.
taking care of a
And
problem
find out.
usually means murder.
What's
like-
going on with House Greenwood?
Yeah, I think
Find
some
out.
investigation
Yeah.
comes first.
True.
Seduction.
Investigating
Is what I
House
had in mind.
Greenwood.
I'm all over
Yep.
that. I'll
Oh,
seduce-
that
I'll
was
seduce
the
them all.
plan. It was
With your
dress you up.
buttresses.
Right, no,
Puff.
Sarai
Puff.
isn't supposed to seduce.
No,
It wasn't Sarai?
It wasn't Sarai.
Bolt.
You can
Because-
try.
I mean, here's the
Didn't
deal.
fail.
Eve is Eve.
That's right, she is.
She's really pretty. It's right up her alley.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I have all the buttresses.
There.
Close.
But yes, to reiterate, there is a noble that you are supposed to investigate named Braff Greenwood.
Mhm.
He is one of the noble sons of the House of Greenwood, and Lady Crestor believes that he is working with the Infinite Sight for some nefarious purpose. So you are supposed to find out what that purpose is and root out the Infinite Sight within Terrebonne City.
Mhm.
How you go about doing that is entirely up to you, so I need to know what is the party's next step.
Well, so she gave us, didn't she give us a list
haunts.
of, like, where he
She
might be?
gave you the name. She really, like, the only place that she knew he hung out was House Greenwood,
Okay.
right? The big mansion that all noble sons of House Greenwood
What
basically live
What do we
out of.
know about Braff? Like, is he like a younger knight or is he like an older guy?
That's a good question. I don't think there's too much information that you
Okay.
have on them currently. If somebody can roll me a history check that's been to Terrebonne before, which would be Eve and Bolt, I believe.
18.
18?
Yeah, gotta go with that.
Bolt, all you know about Braff is that he is one of the younger sons. He's not next in line for the main house. I believe the current head of the house is If I'm not mistaken, it's Malacras Greenwood is the guy's name, but I will double check that while we are going on here. But Braff is probably about the 4th son of House Greenwood, so he's very low on the list. It's a very low pressure job. He's probably got some sort of officiator, like I handle this part of the road, or I handle this particular aspect of our family business.
If Victor asked between Eve and Bolt, would they know of any guild halls for bounty hunters that might have information, be able to, like, peddle in information?
Yeah, you could roll some checks to try and find a good, like, a tavern where bounty hunters frequent.
And I know a guy, or
yeah,
like a kind of thing.
Yep. Is there somebody in your bounty hunting profession?
I wouldn't know. That's the thing, is I've never been here, and that's what I'm saying. I would probably look for the location and see if there's an I know a guy there kind of thing, is what I was intending.
Yeah. So I would say if you want to do that, go ahead and roll me an investigate check first.
Let me,
if that is the plan.
Let me see if my own background may come in handy here, because my background is a courtier.
Okay.
And the feature is a court functionary, and it says your knowledge of how bureaucracies function lets you gain access to the records and inner workings of any noble court or government you encounter. You know who the movers and shakers are, whom to go to for the favors you seek, and what the current intrigues of interest in the group are. That feels like we could use it.
So that will definitely get you information on where, like, what Braff specifically does for the noble house and where he is in the hierarchy, for sure. It might not give you information on where he is, but it can give you an idea of his specific motives.
Right.
Okay.
And mine, because I rarely read it, talks about how frequent contact with people in the segment of society that your chosen quarries move through, yada yada yada. This connection comes in the form of any contact in which city you visit, a person who provides information about the people and places in the local area. And I rolled a 14 on so I'd be on the opposite end of the spectrum. So like yours is like the more like whatever
government
mine's
functionaries,
like
and yours is like the
Underbelly.
underground.
Where does he go after dark?
Yeah.
What Lady of the
So we
Night
can
does
cover
he
both.
frequent?
I think we could cover both of those.
So why don't we maybe? I mean,
Split
I don't know how much you want us to role play this, Cory, but
Well,
like,
let's go ahead and talk about like what you guys want to do as a plan in character.
I was thinking like maybe we see if we can find like if there's some sort of public record house or something like that somewhere that we might be able to get access to, like
A rap sheet, maybe you got a DOI.
well, or like
DH.
the
driving under the horse.
you know the
horse under the influence. HUI.
the okay, so like I have access to the records and inner workings of any noble court or government you encounter. So like records, I'm thinking could be helpful here. Like
Yes.
maybe we find.
I was actually, before you brought that up, I was actually thinking about going and trying to find like any like public ledgers or like
Exactly.
whole building permits, tax stuff, anything that's like publicly available to try to find out, not necessarily where Braff is, but maybe what their connection to the Infinite Site
Yeah,
is.
or if there are any
money
like
laundering.
expenditures that don't add up or
Right.
make sense.
Any
like,
leverage.
Yeah.
So I got a pretty good investigate on that.
If you want, I know splitting the party's bad, but I think we might be okay in roleplay scenario. What if you guys sought out the high court stuff and we went and did the seedy stuff and see what we can dig up, get the dark side of things.
And like I'm fine. Like you can edit this out, but like I'm fine to like if you want us to just like go to a public records house, like make a couple of rolls and be like, yeah, that's good enough. Like you kind of piece some things together and learn X. Or do you want us to be like, okay, we're gonna get a ledger and we're gonna look at the tax information and see if it tells us like I don't.
Where he's like, tax information.
I
There you
don't
go.
know.
Have it all written out, ready to go.
He's like, I have their
tax
W-2s.
returns, building plans.
If you
I
balance
mean,
this
like,
sheet,
I'll handle it like I would as a DM. That's fine. So it wouldn't be like I'm not going to make you go through tax records.
Nope,
and try
didn't
to
find
figure it
anything in the
out.
tax records. What else do you want to look for? The
Don't
employment
worry about
sheets?
it.
I don't know.
That's my job. I'll figure it out. So what we're going to do then? We are splitting the party. I'm guessing Bolt, Eve, and Seredan are
The more
going to high
upstanding
court.
citizens of the.
Uh huh.
I'm upstanding. I just don't want Vicky to get hurt.
It's true.
I'm very tall, so I'm very upstanding.
It's a fact.
So that'll be tomorrow. You guys go back because it is in the evening.
It's been a good game, guys.
Yep.
Good night. See you tomorrow.
That because it's well into the evening at this point. You guys got here at around 5:30 p.m. If Aneria has the same clock standards as...
Lady Cressor is so long-winded.
Oh yeah.
But she's also she's a night owl. There's something about her that she doesn't like the daylight.
She's immortal, basically.
She
So
likes the night.
doesn't
I love
really.
how like you guys are like tallying up points about like what she is and everything.
Next time I see her, I'm gonna just whip out some garlic and be like, want some?
Or just eat some garlic beforehand and breathe on
Just
it.
don't make
Just
any
takes the whole
deals. Don't make any deals with her. Oh wait.
A white.
Just don't invite her.
No, we
Magically
made a
binding.
deal. We're magically
You're
bound.
So-
She's a genie. There's a twist.
So
Or
I guess
some kind of fae?
I think Fae would be the ones you do want to be worried
Yes,
about there.
1 point for Faye.
All right, I think we've got all the technical difficulties resolved. Fingers crossed.
I'm gonna play the whole
Atos.
game like this.
I always have a toe crossed. Thank you very much. Perfect.
Really?
Yeah, I have a curved toe.
Insert pictures of Cory's
No,
feet here.
please
For
don't.
those of you that love feet,
Yeah.
No,
No.
that's for the
This is
only.
yeah,
only
Tarantino
Oh,
movie?
that's the YouTube. That's if you sign up for the D4 Premium, then you get
That's the
then
new
you get
level.
feet pics.
No, this is the OnlyFans, but it's only feet.
Only feet. Yep.
You've asked.
Yep.
I've delivered.
But yeah, so the basic plan, as I understand it, is Eve /Torrey, Seredan / Colby. I'll just lean into it.
Eve's nickname is Torrey.
Yes,
so Eve
for some
Brandon.
reason your nickname is Torrey.
It's so weird.
And Bolt Scott will be going to the a records house to try and find like public records for any recent acquisitions, any recent like cash movements, that sort of thing. That would be on the public record for House Greenwood. And then meanwhile, Ezra and Victor will be going to kind of your bounty hunter contacts in the city to see if you can find out anything about Braff's movements, who he might be hanging out with on the other side of the coin, as it were.
As it were.
As it were.
Is it? What,
So we'll go ahead and cut to the three taking the more public-facing road. We'll call it that instead of the high road, just
Instead of
because.
the high road.
Yeah.
Travel.
Not necessarily for anyway. And it's basically a nice little like public records house. It has the symbol for House Whisper Silk on it. Yes, House Whisper Silk handles all sorts of public records. So you guys walk in. There's a nice young drow woman there, and she kind of stands up. She's got. It's not a high level like noble's outfit on, but it's very formal, very well maintained, that sort of thing. And she goes, "How can I help you today?"
Sarah is like a little like, should I just be direct? She's like, I don't really know how else to be. She's like, we're looking for records on public records on House Greenwood. Do you have anything that we could take a look at?
We have plenty on House Greenwood. This way, please.
That was easy.
And she kind of walks you down through stacks of, different
She's like-
filings, ledgers,
Turns around.
journals.
Nothing you're doing is illegal. So.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. And she leads you to a section, and she kind of waves her hand. And she says, "This is where all of the House Greenwood ledgers and holdings should be. If you want to go ahead and take a look, there's some tables and lecterns over there that you can put the books on, and just let us know when you're done."
Thank you very much.
And then she walks away. Very trusting here.
All right, excellent.
Okay.
And why shouldn't they be? We are totally trustworthy.
So let's go ahead and get history checks, I think. Not history checks.
Investigation.
Investigation. If you can justify some other ability that you might be good at that would pertain to book learning and
I'm
reading.
going to persuade the statistics.
The knowledge into you.
Yeah, me too.
Listen, book. I really need this knowledge. Can you
And athletically read.
You're going to carry the really heavy
Speed
books.
Power
Yeah.
reading.
All right, investigation.
They do have some of those cool like multi-lecterns that are on like a wheel.
Inspiration
so
to
you can put, like,
reroll,
multiple books
'cause-
and pull the wheel down.
Okay,
That's all right. 19.
That's better.
19.
19,
23.
23.
After inspiration, of course.
Poop.
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 Eve, Your book is upside down.
I thought you were going to say, there are restrooms. Right over there. You don't.
Oh,
This on toilets, or is that too magical? The poop which just disappeared. What happened?
It's pretty early for poop jokes. We're just going straight.
It's early for the channel, but not early for us.
We're an hour and a half into this thing.
All right. With a 23, there are a few holdings that definitely stick out to you. It looks
He's
like-
holding it right now.
Yes.
Just disappeared.
Sorry.
Dallin,
Just
you
smikes
broke,
the toilet.
you broke Torrey. Come on.
Sorry. I forgot she's a sucker for a good poop joke.
There's one thing we know about.
You know, yeah.
Now the comments are going to be full of them.
Oh, please don't.
Do it.
Yeah, it'd be so funny.
All right, everybody, poop emojis in the chat all the way down.
Sorry. Let me close myself.
Now we know what her favorite emoji is on the phone.
Obviously.
The peach.
The ice cream one, right?
Yeah, the ice cream.
Ice cream
All
with the
those.
face?
Mhm.
Chocolate
Oh,
ice
those
cream.
Chocolate ice cream.
are my favorites. Okay.
And lemonade.
Anyway,
All right.
how do we do with the
So,
rolls?
yes. So with a 19 and a 23, the two of you completely ignore Eve as she goes through. You go through some inconsequential book about like the history of House Greenwood. I mean, you know where Braff stands now, but it doesn't really give you any insight other than like he's a low tier noble son in the house.
Okay.
He's in direct line, so it's not like he's like a cousin or anything
Yeah.
like that, but he's still like the fourth son of the noble house.
So we got to
He's
kill
like Hans.
four people ahead of him to get him to be.
Got it.
That's how that works.
You're just like,
Yeah,
of House
'cause that's what you
Baratheon, black of hair. Of House Baratheon, black of hair.
Mhm.
So we've learned that he has black hair.
Actually, Greenwood are notable for blonde hair,
Okay, we learned that they have blonde hair.
and
Unless they go
typically-
swimming in a chlorine-filled lake, then they get green hair.
Greenwood,
Yeah.
green hair,
Um,
Got it.
correlations.
there's some chlorine elementals out there. Is that what you're saying?
They are very deadly.
Yes.
Don't breathe them.
But yeah, so you kind of
Okay.
get that. Also, you learn that mostly they try to stick between like their house is very much like mostly humans and elves and half elf combinations kind of thing. It's not any sort of, well, I mean, obviously on paper it looks very like racially charged, but there are a few outliers like, oh, there's a drow right here, there's a Genasi over there kind of thing. But the family tree kind of sticks to that same quartet of like races. So trio races.
Treetet.
What did you say?
Elves, humans, and half elves.
Got it.
Obviously, elves and humans
So
make
more like a
half
duo
elves. Yeah.
of races.
Mhm.
Duets.
But for Seredan and Bolt, the buildings that you discover, there's like a lot of different warehouses recently. There's a big warehouse down by the Great River, which is notable because they don't usually have any sort of business at the Great River.
I do take note of the locations of these particular warehouses, just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case. Especially
they
if
do
any of
have
them
addresses there.
yeah, especially if any of them majorly stand out to me.
Or if we go missing, you know where to look.
There are a lot of big purchases from shipping companies from House Darnathel, which handles most of the the boat work, the handling, shipping, and receiving of goods. that
During
sort of
this montage, Sarah would turn to Bolt and be like, why would a house that was tasked with the protection of the long road need warehouses along the river? And then the music picks back up and cuts to another montage scene.
Yep.
Eve again.
That's where the poop goes.
Diagrams of the aqueducts.
Yep.
In...
But you also do find another warehouse that's closer to typical Greenwood holdings, which doesn't make it too surprising, except for it was purchased on the same day that the Wayward Watch had their encounter with the Infinite Sight, which is why it stands out to you.
Okay. Interesting. I'll take note of that as well and relay it.
That's part of the montage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then you guys can, if you want, you can leave the books there. They have.
Yeah.
so
I mean,
many
if there's nothing else that we can find with more rolls or anything.
Is there anything specifically that you would want besides what I've given you that we can roll for?
I want to see if there are any records of payments made to the Infinite Site.
Okay. No, there are not.
I was thinking anything that maybe they've like filed for a permit or some kind of paperwork for anything like that seems super unusual for what their house does, right?
Okay.
So like, obviously goods and services and stuff like that,
Mhm.
like maybe building some new, like a couple warehouses, but like anything that just is off about. That was
Okay.
definitely not something that they normally would do.
As far like they have purchased a couple. I'll go ahead and just like a 23 and a 19 between the two of you. We're not going to make you roll again. There are payments in there for large shipments from the Wellspring Item Company,
Okay.
and there are several permits to have those shipped through the city. Basically, because it is magical goods, you have to get a permit from House Crestor. Not necessarily like Lady Crestor goes through all of those, but
Yeah.
Gotcha. It's one of those things where like House Crestor has approved a large magical shipment to X warehouse, and the warehouse that you did see that was purchased on the same day is one of the destination warehouses, as is the one by the docks.
Well, I don't see anything else here in the past 6 to 8 months that we've gone through their books that we can. I don't see anything else.
I think we've got some good leads. I'd say perhaps we start at the this warehouse that was purchased the day we had our run-in with the Infinite Sight.
I agree. However, I do believe that we should probably wait for
Of course.
Victor and Esther to get down.
We should see what they've been up to.
Starlight.
Please don't Starlight. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and do the Starlight standard Star Wars, like one side of the screen to the other, cut to a shady inn, Preston. What is the name of this inn that you guys have arrived at? This bounty hunter frequents inn.
The spider's underbelly.
Okay, the spider's underbelly. Yep, definitely.
Sounds underbelly-ish.
They also show like the sigil for a house that for a moment makes you think it is Whisper Silk, but it's actually Silkborn.
Silkborn.
Yeah, which is one of the splinter houses, and they deal mostly in luxury goods. So it's interesting to see like an inn carrying their colors, but it's kind of a not very well kept secret to have house like to know that the three houses that used to make up Whisper Silk all like vie for information and deal in shadier things, just because that's who the houses have always been. So the spiders underbelly. Yep. And you come in and it is kind of like this kind of darker environment. There are a lot of people in more ragged clothes, wearing traveler's clothes, heavy leathers, that sort of thing. Scars on the faces, missing eyes, missing fingers, missing teeth are pretty common, and it's all kind of presided. Yeah, it's all kind of presided over this large stuffed spider carcass, like that seems like 3 times the size of any like spider you've ever seen in the wild.
Like hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah, and I mean like a dire spider that you've seen in the wild, because you've probably seen a few big ones out there.
Well, we fought the ones from the test.
That's true. Yeah,
Is it bigger than one of those?
it is bigger than all of those. Yeah, and you can just like it. Just basically, it's underbelly, which has been painted with it was the Silkborn. No.
Yeah.
Silkborn. The Silkborn colors just has been. It basically just covers most of the ceiling. So
Is there like, is it one of those ones where it's a tourist attraction for the underbelly where they come and like sign their name, like so and so is here? Or
yeah,
is it,
that's not
strictly-
encouraged. Obviously, like they have to like scrub the names that aren't popular, but there are a few like famous names on there.
Or like the
you see-
tables, you sit at a table and you'll see like famous gangs, or like.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Maybe it's like kissing the Blarney Stone. You have to kiss
Yeah.
the spider's underbelly.
You actually have to kiss the
Thorax.
the talons, which are still dripping with venom. Not the talons.
The
It would be
mandibles.
The mandibles, yeah.
Maybe that's like their
And if you
drink.
survive-
When they
Not
make
the
their drinks, it's the
spinnerets.
garnish. Like they just.
No.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can definitely order like a spider's underbelly, and they'll fill it up with Probably just meat's dead meat, and then they'll
Some
pull it up to, and they'll dip it in. They'll basically just dip it in the fang and then hand it to you, and you have to wonder if there is any toxin, like
If there is or
on
if there
there,
isn't.
or if you.
It's like drinking
it.
on cake milk.
For science.
Over there, so I can encourage you.
Perfect.
Not for Ezra.
And there is a dwarf at the table or at the bar,
Okay.
rather,
I'll approach the bar.
and he has kind of like a big black bar tattooed across his eyes, kind of thing, and his hair is just pulled back in a long braid, and he goes, "You're new."
Yes, we are here. We are new in town. I am looking for information.
And I'm gonna kind of put my hand on the table and kind of knock, showing off like the 8 rings, kind of sigil on my ring.
Oh, interesting. And what is your favorite gemstones, sir?
Well, it depends, but I would say
This is like on the spot. I don't know. Preston likes rubies.
What about this?
the jade suits me nicely.
Well, we're always helpy to hap out a friend.
He's a little drunk.
Yeah, I've had one too many Spider's Underbellies. We're always happy to help out our friends who love jade. What information are you specifically looking for? And usually that's ordered with a drink.
Absolutely, I'll take the hardest thing you have.
Right. And for you?
Water, please.
This is like Coyote Ugly.
Everything like
a little scared.
you hear this, like everyone like
Water.
water.
Water is out on the sidewalk.
All right. Perhaps just a nice mead. Plain. No spider drippings.
So he'll pour you a meatstead mead, and then he'll do another meatstead mead, and then he'll take like the little ladder up to the spider and just dip it in the fang and then hand it to you.
Can I get 2 dips?
I
Double
like
shot.
you. And he goes up and he dips the other side of the fang.
And then this is completely a bluff, by the way.
Yeah.
Preston's gonna be out for the
This is gonna-
upcoming
this is-
fight.
I'm
What's
just
it
like
called?
staring at you like
14 d6
What?
poison damage.
What's it called? Brent Sanderson. She goes and
Shalon.
Shalon,
Drinking. Yeah.
Shalon drinking.
Veil.
Oh yeah, and she just burns it off with the stormlight.
Yeah.
I don't have that luxury.
Anyways,
Take a drink and ask your question.
so I guess
Well, we are looking for. Do you have any information on Bran Greenwood?
Yes.
Yes.
Braff.
Not Brand.
Right, Barf.
Braff.
Braff. We're looking for information on Braff and perhaps the Greenwood house.
We've heard he's the lesser child of the noble house.
Really?
Perhaps has maybe
Well-
dealings in places like this.
Only from the
Interesting.
information, really. Nothing of too much consequence. I'm sure you can understand, and I'll put
Like 5 gold coins on the counter.
All right, that's a fine start for your tab, but I'm afraid that drink and information is 10 gold. We're talking noble houses here.
There's another.
not a problem. And here's 2 electrum pieces for your travel.
Glad we went with the free public record option.
We're gonna get all the juicy details.
So 5, and then 2 electro pieces.
Yeah, so 20 gold total.
Okay.
Which he looked like he was about to say 10 gold each, but you handed him the 2 electrums, so he's just going to scoop that into the pocket. And he's going to say, yeah, Braff. He comes in here every now and then with a couple ruffian friends of his, a couple guards that he's gotten onto the Greenwood payroll. They usually come in here before they make their way to the Dreary Lady for the evening.
Are they just here to drink? Do they meet someone or?
Usually they just come in here to drink a little bit and talk about their recent winnings, and then they'll head off to spend said winnings.
Oh, interesting.
What
So he
do
likes
they
to
win
gamble.
In a way.
Is it on the races with the what are they called? I can't
Oh,
remember.
the
Birds.
mhm.
This is Preston failing.
From last episode.
The drone races.
Mechanical.
Yeah.
The mechanical race.
I think they do something a little hardier than the simple races, if you know what I mean.
Fighting.
Yeah.
I like that.
And the Dreary Lady has a place to partake.
Sounds like it's a house of ill repute.
Thank you, random person at the bar who I've never met before.
These chips are fantastic, by the way. Do I get a little more?
Yeah, sure. And he grabs some chips and he goes up to the venom thing. And
The queso costs extra.
Yeah.
Take some of the death. Shoots the death
It
stone.
sounds like a place of the night, but we can never be sure.
That's where they go to spend their winnings.
Understand. Any
I guess winnings
particular-
is probably the incorrect term. I'd say earnings, and he gives you a wink.
Any particular lady they frequent? The Dreary Lady herself?
Maybe. Your drinks are looking a little light there, though.
It's not a problem. Here's another 2 electrum pieces.
And he takes Electrum and kind of swiftly puts them away into his pocket and says, you're going to want to talk to Gwen. She'll have the know-how.
And if I want to myself, perhaps get into this
The Dreary Lady, I have a couple good recommendations.
No, the gambling and the earnings. I could use a few extra dollars. Where might I find this?
I'm afraid that theirs is by invite only, but you might be able to procure something.
How might I draw the right attention?
And he looks over at one of the tables where there's like a couple other ruffians, you know, they look like they're probably part of some street gang or other. And he goes, there are certain people that have invitations already that you might be able to procure. It's usually whoever holds it in their hand rather than checking on names, if you know what I mean.
I see. And is there any one particular patron that has not treated you as well as me?
And I'll pull out another electrum piece and slide it across the table.
Jesus, it's expensive.
And he takes it and he says, well, and he just nods over at the people again, very, very slyly, like, you know, the ones that I've already pointed out, but thanks for the Electrum.
Not a problem. Just want to make sure I don't offend you or your people.
Of course.
I very much appreciate the information and the drink, and I'm going to try and do the whole, like...
Okay. Go ahead and give me a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh.
I'm going to use my inspiration on that. 18 plus con. Save is 19.
Yeah, there's definitely some toxin in there. And it burns going down, but you're good.
That's good. That's very good. Thank you for the double shot.
Yeah, you're very welcome. If you need anything else, feel free to come by. Also, I've got a specific contract that could use a jade touch. I haven't been able to get a hold of our usual Onyx contacts, if you know what I mean.
Yes, no problem. Not a problem at all. If you'd like, I can... perhaps I can either deliver it for you or take on the contract myself.
Sure. And he'll go ahead and he'll slide over a piece of paper.
Okay.
And as you kind of open it up, you look and it says Braff Merrick. Kind of like Braff, but Braff apparently. 50 gold contract, elimination.
Just assassination.
Yep.
And delivery,
Just here.
is it just like I take a feather and that's good enough?
Yep.
Assassin's Creed style? Okay.
I will keep it in close confidence.
Of course.
And I business is business, but if I may, what did this Braff do?
I don't know, I just got the contract.
Fair. Well, if you have any more information on them, I would appreciate it. So,
No problem.
thank you.
Should we head over to the table?
Oh no, yeah, we can go over to the table and sit down and, or at least like approach the table and.
Okay. There's about like 4 people at the table already.
Is there any
all-
unoccupied seats or?
Not really.
Okay, so come up to the table and. Okay, but I guess before we go over,
I'll feign drunk and I'll trip into their table and give you maybe an opportunity to try and swipe something.
Okay.
Distraction.
So yeah, you definitely
I'll just-
go ahead and
excuse me.
go ahead and give me an acrobatics check. It's going to be a low DC because you are trying to be.
Natural 20.
I mean,
Is there?
yeah.
So before we head over there, is there a way I can just see if I can just kind of look around and stare at them beforehand to see if I can identify where it's at, or am I just going to do a
give me
straight
an
sleight of
insight.
hand? Okay. I just want to see if I can. 9 plus my insight.
And don't
Is it
forget, you
5,
can use your
14?
dice for these as well.
14.
Of the
14. Yeah, you're able to kind of identify which one is the leader,
Okay.
per se. He's got the nicer clothes. He's got the better haircut. That
I
sort of
will
thing.
spill a drink on that man. So
With your natural 20, you spill all of their drinks on all of them, and so they like all stand up.
And I'll come up.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Come up. I'm really sorry. He cannot hold his liquor. I mean, I took a double. Did you see that? I took a double shot over there. It was great. Let me get this off of you.
And I want to try and
the spiders.
Hold on.
It is
grab a
not for
napkin
the
and I'll be like
faint of
dabbing him,
heart.
feeling for if I feel any like crinkle of paper.
Yep, give me a sleight of hand.
Did you see over there?
Natural 20. Okay. Wow.
Perfect.
So it's not a crinkle of paper, but it's
And plus
definitely
that's
something. It's something that you kind of just like you feel like it feels like almost like wood or some sort of like metal plate that you slide
Is it
out
metal?
as you're batting down, and they like completely like get off of me after you get that.
I'm sorry. I did not mean offense. Sure. Here, let me buy you some drinks. No.
You better buy us some drinks.
Flip
No,
2
don't
gold.
buy them drinks.
Oh, you sure? I mean,
What kind of Tushan warrior do you think you are?
it was my
Being
fault.
Dishonorable one.
Oh, really? And they all kind of looked to each other and said, "Dishonorable Tushan, fetch a good price if we turn him in."
Oh, crap.
But I have so many friends that would have my back.
Name
right?
one. Besides this guy, name one.
Master Nogwe. Roll me a deception check if you don't mind. How about a 12?
It's the new master.
Yeah, never heard of that guy before.
Well, have you heard of Sandman? Have you heard of the Blackthorn?
And as I'm calling, I'm gonna have each of the blades kind of. I don't want to try and intimidate them.
Ooh, go ahead and roll me an intimidation.
And I will
check.
call all of them out to bear in just kind of like,
Okay.
and flashing the ring, just being like all, whoop, that's out of the box. That's a 16 plus intimidation is +1, so 17. And for good measure, so that's a 23.
They all kind of hold up their hands and they're like, "Oh, didn't really mean any trouble there. If he's a friend of yours, he's a friend of mine."
How about we leave with spilt drinks, not spilt blood? And then I'll start heading out.
Sounds good to us. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. It's I know.
You bring up 2 daggers like this and then point at
And as we kind of leave, I will turn the daggers behind me towards them to show that, like, just basically showing I don't have like a blind spot or anything to, I guess. And walking out, we can
As
all
soon as we got, I'm like, did you do the thing? And then I did that was so cool.
I didn't know you were that good at saying things. You're really dishonorable. I don't know.
No, that was for show.
I'd say they were dishonorable. It was honorable to take it from them, right?
Yes.
I feel
What does the invitation say?
Whatever you need to help let yourself sleep.
So there is it's a little like wood grain invitation that's kind of been like fire etched on it, and it says one entry into the League of Crash Course. Well, I don't know what the name of the league is called. The League of Crash. We'll just call it League of Crash. And it has it doesn't have like an address or anything on it, but it's definitely like an invitation for one entry.
Okay. So I guess we can leave and
Let's go meet up with everybody with our newfound
take note.
information.
I didn't get the guy's name. When we were approaching, I would have
Oh, the dwarf.
asked him. Would he have said anything for like his name?
Sorry, the dwarf.
The dwarf behind the.
No, he didn't say his name.
Okay.
Like, he didn't
That's
offer
fine.
out his name. Right?
So I just know that he's one of the people at the Spider Number. Okay.
Yeah, he's the bartender at the Spider.
Do
I'm just writing down
we-
as like one of my I know a guys ish.
The Dreary Lady, is that somewhere we could easily find, or do we?
Yeah, like you can ask
Okay.
around in this kind of seedier part of town, and people will direct you
Okay.
You think we want
with
to
knowing
bring everyone
smiles.
else?
What?
Or do you think Sarah would be a
Oh,
wet
no.
blanket?
I just want to know where it is when we tell Sarah about all the fun she can have at the Dreary Lady.
You know, I think that Sarah might be into that kind of thing. Maybe she would feel bad if we didn't bring her. I don't know.
True.
Any chance,
Yes, let's go back.
Any chance to get in a fight, she would be sorely upset.
I don't think
It's
fighting
kind
is
of
what
a
they have in
fight.
mind.
It's definitely a dance of sorts.
Let's check.
All right, back to the group.
Let's check in.
So you guys meet up back at the Satin Cat. You three are already waiting there as they arrive. Ezra looks like he's like still kind of brushing off a little bit of alcohol.
You
that
guys
got
should
on
have
him.
seen it. This guy, his
I almost
performance
died.
is beautiful.
You almost died.
If not for
We've just been looking through boring ledges.
We had drinks and fights.
I
and
knew I should have gone to the
I'm a little buzzed.
low road.
He drank poison.
It was good.
My
I will
goodness.
regret it later. I can't feel my toes.
We need adult supervision.
Couldn't see that. What did you find?
Show them, Victor.
Oh,
You got the clue.
I stole something. Don't tell. It was from a bad guy, so it was okay.
That's fine.
And I'll show him like not like on parade or anything, but just kind of like subtly show everybody this thing is
Apparently, Braff, yes. Now I'm second guessing myself. Braff seems to have some connections to doing some kind of a fighting ring or gambling or something. It wasn't.
Is he doing the fighting or is he betting on the fighting?
It seems that he is making money on them, but I doubt that someone like him would actually fight.
Seems unlikely that a fourth son of a noble house would be putting himself at risk.
Fourth son.
Jian,
Oh yes, sorry.
What,
Just dealing with the pests.
what was
The electric
what was
cat.
that thing that your husband was getting involved in?
Oh, the familiar air races.
Yes. Was that what they're called? Or
Yeah, basically
something
it's
else?
just some wizards and artificers that go around. They have their homunculuses and familiars or companions
Yes.
fly around and race.
You said there was a seedier part of it as well.
Yes, there is kind of an underbelly. There's rumors about there being some sort of familiar fighting ring going on.
Do you know if that has any kind of if it's named anything or?
I wouldn't know anything about that. Tyrion,
But
and kind of a pudgier looking gnome comes out and he goes, "Yes, dear. Would you please talk to Bolt about your hobby?" And she just like walks away, and he goes, "Are you sure you're interested in air racing? Because I saw that album that you made, and it's quite good.
Thanks,
Really
but
well."
actually, I'm more interested in the not so legal version of it, the fighting ones.
have you heard of anything called the League of Crash?
The League of Crash.
Yes.
Like, yeah, I mean, I've heard of it. It's one of the more well-organized versions. Supposed to be some really big players in there, that the best of the best, as it were.
Are there very many sponsors of the noble variety?
I wouldn't know. I'm not invited. Not that I would go to any of them at all, of course.
Fair.
And he kind of looks around a little bit
Yeah.
and goes, I mean, I'll make the occasional bet on some of the lower class ones, but I don't.
So you do know where to find them.
The League of Crash, no.
Do you
I want to do an insight check on him to see
Yeah.
if he's bluffing. That's a natural one.
He
I have no idea.
seems very nervous.
Okay.
That's
Sorry, it's something I heard when we were talking about different sporting events and heard someone drinking and spouting off some stuff.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if anything, like the ones I usually go to are in like cleared out storage areas, that sort of thing. So
Like a warehouse. Have you ever been
By
to
the
one?
docks?
I haven't been to any of the big ones, but I suppose if something was large enough that it required a warehouse, that could conceivably be used.
Perhaps the organizer.
Interesting. Well, thank you for your time.
No problem. If Janjan asks, I just do races.
Not a problem.
Absolutely.
Of course.
I appreciate it, and if you know, if you hear anything about these, I'd be interested. And sounds like a great sporting event.
Yes, of course. I mean, if you'd like, I can kind of show you what my individual creation and what I do.
Perhaps
Maybe
another
time.
We're all like, no. As he walks away, I want to kind of grab his arm and stop him and kind of turn around and be like, I think it would be in your best interest to avoid those places from here on out.
Of course. Are you trying to like intimidate him? or are
No,
you
it's just
trying to,
more.
like,
This is just friendly advice.
give me a persuasion check with advantage because you are Bolt in this specific situation.
Oh man, Bolt always gets advantage. What the heck? How do we build that character? What feat?
14. You always have
14.
They always have
It has not been as lucrative as I would like. Maybe it is time to come back a little bit.
You do have a family to think of.
Of course. Yeah.
So many kids.
20. So many kids.
Think of the children. That's why I go to these races. It's not.
Einor, right? She's the purveyor.
Jan.
Jan. Dang it. Wrong cafe.
Wrong short person.
Short
if
sister.
Janjan's around, I want to ask her.
Janjan, I'm curious. Have you ever heard the name of Braff Merrick by chance?
I've heard of a Merrick before.
It's not Braff. It's like
Breath.
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 Yeah.
Breth.
Breath.
Breath.
Just like Braff, but with an E instead of an A, because I can make things confusing
Okay.
at will, apparently.
Braff Merrick. Have you heard the name? The house name is.
Yeah, I mean he's some sort of ruffian. He's kind of been going around to a few businesses asking for protection money, that sort of thing.
Oh, got you. Well, did he say anything about who he works for?
No, I don't really deal with that.
That
sort
almost
of
sounded like.
business.
Has he ever mentioned me before?
But
Okay.
he is one of those that they have been by, but luckily we're pretty close to the House Janik, so they don't really bother us if we tell them to get out.
Okay. Fair, thank
Also,
Well, we
a
have
nice dwarven man told us about a dreary lady and its
Yes.
many occupants.
He's right.
And we wanted to know if you wanted to come. Not for fun. Well, for fun, but a different kind of fun. maybe.
Dave Bolt, you're welcome.
you
Rennick, don't you have some
suggesting,
shorts
Zsa Zsa, that
upstairs?
I would frequent
He's the little
Like,
boy
this is
upstairs.
not for children.
Please,
that I would frequent a house of ill repute.
For violence.
Oh, well,
He's got a point.
perhaps if there was
It's a
some,
dishonorable place that needs to be purged.
some villains that needed to be put in their place. But listen, we haven't even told you what we found.
Oh, right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There's some warehouses. They look a little suspicious. I think we ought to check them out. And if we don't know where this League of Crash thing is, but we think, well, maybe there's perhaps a connection,
Didn't he say-
why don't we go look?
He said something about the warehouses, but
Yes, if they need it.
do they have the addresses?
Yes, I've got them all written down.
Yes.
Well, let's go check
There
them
are
out.
two.
Flash the symbol and see which one gets us.
One that was just purchased apparently the day that we had our run-in with the Infinite Sight. And another that is along the river, which seemed odd to us because they're in charge of protecting the long road.
It seems maybe this, the dwarf did say that Braff didn't have winnings, he had earnings. So maybe he's running this thing.
Perhaps.
Very well. I think we should start by going to one of these warehouses.
Are you guys, do we need to go in costume? I don't want to hurt anybody's reputation here. You guys know people. I don't know anyone. I don't care.
Well, actually, did you say there was someone at this lady of the... what was
Her
it
name was Gwen.
The Dreary Lady.
Gwen with a V.
Do you think perhaps if we spoke with her, she might be able to give us some additional information that could...
The lady is probably hear a lot of bragging about things.
I would imagine.
Is fair.
Might be worth a shot.
Hopefully
Who
we
wants
can...
to go? I will go.
If we're going to go anywhere
We all
that's
have to
kind of shady, that's exactly we should all be.
Wouldn't it be a little suspicious to say we all want Gwen?
I'm sure they have a group discount.
It's probably a higher rate. Let's be
My
honest.
goodness.
I think it turned quick.
Maybe we all go, and then one of us requests.
Perhaps we could pose as a family member or something. It doesn't have to get weird.
This is very weird.
That's sounding weird.
That sounds worse.
I think
I'm
we
not
should
from
pose as
Arkansas.
maintenance men.
Well,
Fixing plumbing.
Arkansas is close to Archdom. It's like a technological town.
Yes.
if you think we ought to check there first, then let's go.
Let's start there.
Anerabama.
Um,
That's
yeah,
this area
okay, so
of-
off to the Dreary Lady with 5 adventurers in full gear.
Of course.
Is that what I'm hearing?
I am going to wear a big dark cloak over my armor.
Yeah, you do have that cloak that you purchased in Terrebonne.
I'll just make sure that Craggy's in the form of a flute.
I'll pull up my little face, whatever rogue thing.
You point your face up.
By the way, I do want to remind those of you who spent gold that you can get reimbursed by your patron for common expenses.
By the way,
I'm going to spend
Did you
30
keep a
platinum
receipt?
I did
There's no
not-
receipts on this.
Hey, Mr. Shady Guy, can you write me up a receipt for
Please,
that?
For the
I wanna
bribe
get
money that I just
reimbursed.
gave you?
Write your name and family members below.
It's more of like minor expenses, probably.
Yeah, gotcha. Petty cash.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about that stuff. I'm fine.
What I got. All right, so off to the Dreary Lady, which it's actually fairly close to the Spider's Underbelly. It's probably just a few blocks away. It's a 3-story house. It's got, it looks like it's seen better days, but there are laughs and music coming from inside. A lot of different
Those buttresses
noises.
need some work.
But there's definitely a good power washing that needs to be done on the outside at least. And there
On
are
the inside.
yeah, probably on the inside. There are a few ladies in rather unflattering, not unflattering, but unmodest clothing, kind of hanging around outside, talking with a few guards as they pass by, or just other patrons, that sort of thing. You guys can walk right past them into the inn if you'd like, because it does proudly proclaim inn on the sign, but
Sure.
it does have it in quotation marks.
Oh, really?
All right.
How did I
Who's
get here?
biting the bullet? Or biting the arrowhead? I don't know if we have bullets.
Allow me. Evie, I don't want you to
Be sullied.
to stoop to this level. Sarah's feeling.
In the common
Protective or
room, is there
embarrassed.
is it like a
Thank
saloon
you.
essentially where there's tables normal for drinking
Yeah,
and stuff?
there's some like normal tables for
Let's
drinks.
grab some
and chit-chat.
drinks.
Okay.
I'll just go up to the bar and just say, is Gwen in by chance this evening?
In but occupied, says the matronly woman, kind of sitting at the bar. Should be done in about 8.5 minutes.
They just started.
Right. I'll wait then.
Was that out of character? or
Yes.
in
That was out of
character?
character.
Okay.
I couldn't help myself.
Well, then you'll just have an epic die, not a free drink.
Yes, we'll have a round of drinks.
What's your poison?
He only did that one.
What does Victor here likes something really
Strong.
strong. Ezra will have water. Bolt
Alright.
will
I will
have
have meat.
oil.
No, nothing for me, actually. Thank you.
Nothing.
Have you guys ever
I've
tried
never
on
done
cake
strong.
What about yours? Do you think you can get yours right, honey?
Juice.
Is there a specific type, or should I
Fermented.
just surprise you?
hard apple
Wine.
cider?
All right. And for you?
Mead is fine, thank you.
All right.
I think it's called old juice, right?
Old juice.
Old juice.
Old juice.
Yep.
Please.
One
Old
glass
ju-
of
old
old
juice brand wine.
I'll have that brought over to your table.
It's just old
And
watches.
is drinks all we're looking for tonight, besides Gwen for at least one of you, I assume?
I mean, do you do back massages here?
That's
Been a
pretty much
long-
exclusively what we do.
Weak. Well, only the back.
All right. I mean, if you'd like, we could schedule a nice
I'm sure they can accommodate.
only the back massage.
Only back massage.
I
Yep.
just want to air my grievances to someone who will listen.
And we have that too.
Yeah, I think
Our masseuses are very skilled in many talents.
We've got like a pen and paper, and it's like one of those.
Therapy bed.
definitely paying for a back massage. It's been a week.
Yeah.
Of terror bomb.
So it's it's like 5 silver for the drink for everybody who does partake, except for the water. If you did get water, it's 0. But you said meat. So,
I didn't mean.
And then anybody who wants, it's basically like they'll come up to Ezra and they'll be like, "So are you serious? Like just the back massage? Like really quietly? Like make sure that they get like it's not an innuendo type thing. Can never be too careful here." And then they do ask Victor if he wants somebody to listen to him.
They yell out, "Put the Otyug away!"
No, get the Otyug out for the back massage.
No, it does other things.
Oh no.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so it'll be 5 gold for each of you.
Okay.
Okay. And shortly thereafter, a rather muscular-looking Goliath woman comes over and claps Ezra on the shoulder and says, "I'm
going to be tossed around." Just picks you up by your shoulder to carry you.
Torrey, you got the Helga voice for this.
Yeah, you're looking for the back massage. I got you. This way.
I think I might have a crush.
You want to be crushed too? That's extra.
And then just like a halfling woman comes over. She looks very chipper to be able to talk to somebody, and she says, "Hey, if you'd like, we got a private room. Yeah, we can go too."
There's no problem.
And I most of the time he'll like start out at talking about his feelings of inadequacy, but then he'll go into basically like, "Are you okay here?" and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and if you let her, she will comb your hair, like give you like a nice hairbrush.
I will. I think he would be like,
Please don't touch me.
All right. Yeah, she's a great listener. The massage is fantastic. Like she is an expert masseuse. So
nice.
We just hear it. Runs it, backs out of the room, and then runs it. You hear Ezra go, "Oh!"
Perfect. And then shortly enough, a short brown-haired like human woman sits down and she says, "I heard you were looking for Gwen.
Yes, I was.
What can I do for you?"
Well, I was actually wondering if you might be able to share some information with us.
Not really our cup of tea around here.
I understand, but we can make it worth your time.
Of course. And
Would you prefer perhaps a more private setting?
Yeah, and she goes, she looks over at the matronly woman and she goes, "Hey, Pat, I'm going to take them up for 100 gold. And she nods and writes that down and like hands you the slip type thing. Yep. And you guys, if you want to go all 3 of you or just Seredan, up to you.
I mean, is it extra for all 3 of us?
It was just 100 gold.
Okay. Up we go.
Yeah. Okay, and she'll lead you in a room, she'll close it, she'll lock it. She'll go over to the window, she'll lock them as well. It's a nice, like, it's got some good perfumes kind of wafting through the air. She's got an incense lit, that sort of thing. And she sits down and she says, "Okay."
I take a big old light.
So, first things first, I can't tell you anything about any major players in the city. They have specific magical contracts in place.
As in you're physically unable to.
Physically unable, yes.
Standard. Sounds.
Yep.
What about a certain 4th son of a noble house? Would that be considered major or minor?
If you tell me their name and I can't reply, you'll know what to talk about.
Braff Greenwood.
Oh, yeah, I can talk about him. That's fine.
Excellent.
Perfect.
We were looking for information on him.
Okay.
We do not wish to do him any harm. But
it doesn't matter what you wish to do to him. That's not my business.
We hear that he frequents here and that he is, that you're one of his favorites, we'll say.
He's very fond of me, yes.
I don't suppose you know much about his dealings with the League of Crash.
Oh, you're interested in that portion. You're not Arcana, are you? Because you have to tell me if you are.
Absolutely not.
Okay, good.
That's actually also not a rule, so...
Is it
just-
not?
No.
That's what everybody says, though.
It's not true.
Oh,
You should keep that in mind.
okay. I'll be careful. Obviously, our canon wouldn't tell me that. So, okay. Wow. I gotta tell the other girls. Anyway. Yeah. So we want to know if he runs it or like what
Exactly.
What his dealings are
We're just
there?
looking for information on it. We're considering frequenting, perhaps, but we want to know what his involvement is
Well,
with the league.
he started the league.
Mhm.
He doesn't technically run it anymore. He leaves that to a few companions of his.
Right.
But he is the 5-time champion of it. He currently holds the title of undefeated. He likes to brag about it every time, like it does something. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. He comes in here every time that he gets some earnings, and him and his fellows and having themselves an enjoyable evening.
I see. Do you know by chance where the event happens to take place? Is it at one of the warehouses that the Greenwood house owns?
I mean, it is at a warehouse. From what I've gathered, I don't know like the specific address.
You don't know the location.
No, they don't really.
He doesn't talk about that.
No, he tells me that he's the one who set up the warehouse, like he bought it, but he doesn't tell me anything beyond that.
I see.
How easy is he to talk to? If we wanted to get information from him.
I would say that if you're looking to catch him off guard or in a compromising position, you'll probably want to face him in the competition itself, because he kind of hides away in a private room.
I was just going to wear a wig, but never mind.
I mean, that would work too. You look
I'll just hold my
lovely
finger
without
like
that.
this, fake mustache.
Fake mustache.
So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, basically, he's always surrounded by pretty elite guards. Despite being the fourth son, he technically he brings in a lot of cash for Greenwood, and he hires himself out some of the best elite guards that they can buy. But he usually as far as I can hear from the other people, is they're usually staged outside of the Champions Hall, what he calls it. So he wouldn't have them while in there, so you could talk to him if you were able to get into that area. But with the guards guarding it, the only way in is really to work your way up the ranks, as it were, to challenge him.
I see. One more question. This may seem a bit odd, and I don't anticipate that you would have heard this name, but by chance, have you ever overheard him talking, whether in the throes of passion or with one of his guards, about...
He calls out to a god sometimes.
Right, I expect that you're very good at what you do.
High five.
But have you ever heard him use the name the Infinite Sight by chance?
No, he's never talked about anybody with that name.
It was a long shot, but there's a group that we were wondering if he might be affiliated with.
How bad are they on a scale of 1 to 10?
I wouldn't trouble yourself.
You should forget you ever heard about them.
All right, we'll do.
And if you don't, they'll make sure that you do.
Of course. What? You know what?
Wow, does she need to roll an intimidation check? Holy crap.
No, I think that's good. I just want to make sure that, the employees here are safe.
Of course.
Yeah. Technically, I'm next in line after Pat retires and everything, so I'm trying to make sure that I know the major players around the city. Who exactly do you work for, by the way?
Our employer prefers to remain anonymous.
I get it. I get it completely.
But thank you for your time. I don't know, Evie, did you have any other questions, Bolt?
You said you're next in line.
Yes.
When you do inherit the place, you should really get a mechanic out here to fix some stuff. In fact, here, let me just write down a name.
Okay.
Address.
Like what did you see that was broken?
Oh, the buttresses outside need to be waxed for sure. There's a couple broken windows that need to be patched or replaced.
I think putting freshly waxed wax buttresses outside is like a sale promotion. Sounds like a really
Yes.
good idea, actually.
Yes, and you can hang a sign saying they've been freshly waxed.
Freshly waxed.
I think it would attract more
Oh
people.
my
Exactly. Agreed.
This has taken quite the
There's
turn.
somebody in the Defenders here. I just
So
gotta-
I
meanwhile,
had to choke a lot of them down earlier.
Meanwhile,
back with
all
the
the
line.
attention is in your lower back.
Yes. Thank you. You can't say anything in a house of...
No.
No,
And
you cannot.
It's all dirty.
If there's nothing else, if you have the room for technically an hour, if you want to just hang out, or
No, we're good. Thank you.
okay, wonderful. Well, then have a wonderful evening, and don't hesitate to come back. I have more information on other people.
Okay. Good to know.
Gwen. And my name is Eve.
Nice to meet you, Eve.
It is so
You
nice
have
to meet
beautiful hair.
Thank you. Your hair is lovely.
Yeah, it needed to be cut recently, but
Why is that?
don't ever try and pick up grimy clients. That's all I'll say.
Yikes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we are the Wayward Watch, and if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to call upon us.
Of course, yeah. I'd be happy to.
Spread the name around while you're at it.
Will do. Just, do you have like a business card that I can hand out, or?
Should work on that. Our services are a little different than what you are
on the
offering
to-do
here.
list.
Yeah, of course.
But
I wouldn't expect any of you to be in that specific profession.
no, I'm so sorry to hear about your hair, but it grows back.
It will, yeah.
Mhm.
We have some special potions coming in. They were just out when I had my incident.
So I don't even want my mind
That's
conjured up.
Yeah.
You don't even want to know.
No, yeah, that's all that.
Do not even want to know.
Yeah, that's the great thing about storytelling. Sometimes it's what you don't say. That's the fun part.
That's true. In the psychological therapy session,
Yeah.
I do want to bring up if she knows anything about a Braff Merrick.
Oh, hate that guy.
Whoa, what is? Was he rude to you too?
Oh, he's been rude to so many girls around here.
You want me to take care of him?
I mean, if you, I mean, we can't really offer you like anything.
No,
for
it's
it.
not a problem. I've got a contract out on him.
We don't really need white knights around here, though. Like, don't think
Okay,
that
no
like
problem.
we don't really need the help.
Well, I
but-
saw Helga over there. She can definitely take care of herself.
Oh, absolutely.
She could break
Every
me
girl
in
in
half.
here, every girl in here is trained to be able to be deadly as well as beautiful. So-
Awesome. Any knife dancers here?
We have a few.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can discuss knife dance.
Looking for Winifred.
At that point, we just knock on the door. Victor, if you're quite done with your sob story, it's time to go.
Oh,
And,
yes.
The halfling woman's actually going to go over and she's going to jerk open the door and she's going to be like, "Never knock on one of these doors."
Understood. Victor?
It's okay. You can. You see, it's a friend. Before
He
I
like
go,
peeks
is-
around the corner. His hair's half in a like
Is
ponytail.
Sari, I have one question for her before I leave. Does Braff usually come here a specific time?
No, he's been banned for life.
He's been banned for life. Okay.
Banned for life.
Yes.
Was he the grimy one? I don't even want to know.
And you've been talking with Gwen?
Yes.
No,
Okay.
no. That was a tribe leader from the Pouncewind Prairie. Yeah.
How good is your information network? Good. If I was to say share in this bounty, would you be able to give me information? Should you see him?
Yeah. If you give me your contact information, I'd be happy to for a little cut.
This is Victor Udante of the Wayward Watch.
Is that with V's or?
You know, the V's that sit next to each
Victor
other.
Oh, okay. All right.
Victor.
And she'll go ahead and take the information from you. And, yeah. Well, thanks for stopping by and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Good luck with the rest of your night. And I think Ezra, you can go ahead and finish up the massage session.
Just come out, relax.
There's like some cartoon hearts like.
No.
You're like a furry.
It's when you are carrying a lot of heavy burdens around, sometimes you just have to beat them out of you. Thanks, Elga.
No problem. Come back again soon.
I will.
Well, I thought that usually I do that in a fight. Somebody kicks the crap out of you.
That works too, but this way I don't have bruises, or maybe a couple, but...
Oh, you've got a couple there, yes. Have you been drinking water? Make sure you drink lots of water.
Yes.
Let's get out of here.
Okay. So you guys, what is your next destination in mind?
Well, I've been thinking. Gwen said that the best way to have a
Conversation.
Thank you.
He was feeling a little flustered after her experience.
I kept thinking of my hair and the griminess. Horrible.
Where does the poop go?
Horrible thoughts.
In the hair, apparently.
That's why she needed a haircut.
Yes. Horrifying.
Full circle.
We want to speak with Braff. Gwen suggested the best way to do that is in this winners circle. They have like a winners hall for those that do well in this competition. Now, we have admittance to view the fight, or is that to participate?
Entry.
This is a single entry. I think, as I understand, if you have this, you can compete.
Well, perfect.
What if we pretend to compete, find out where he is, beat the crap out of his guards, and question him?
Do we even understand what this competition is? I thought it was some sort of contest between constructs. Is it some sort of...
I don't know, I just assumed that Bolt knew about
fighting.
it and has done it before, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, we have a guy,
Familiar fighting.
Janjan's husband.
And we're his entourage. Then we let him pretend to do the fight, and we sneak around the back and punch this Braff.
But what if Janjan fights out?
Braff.
I don't know if we want to necessarily get in a fight unless they pick one with us.
I mean, it seems like House Greenwood needs a good
I agree.
shaking. They aren't really, doing their jobs.
If they were making that much money, then the road would be more protected.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Unless they're ignoring
Well,
They are not.
Why don't you head up to the warehouse and at least...
Scope it out.
Right.
Alright.
What's our cover story if we walk up and they say, "Who are you?"
We're dock inspectors, inspecting
Well,
on behalf of the magistrate.
We're just interested in betting on a fight.
In warehouse architecture.
We're here from
We're
the Buttress Committee. We're here
we're
to
investors
inspect your
in
buttress.
dockside real estate.
Yes. Genius.
Buttress inspectors.
Buttress inspectors, real estate. Don't know
Gambler.
real estate.
I'm there for the fight. I think that's probably the easiest way to get in the door.
And to get thrown in jail.
I agree with that. Well,
It's like it's a sting operation.
What if
There's a
you
bunch of,
say
like,
gambling?
Famous last words.
To the wrong people, then you are in trouble.
Why don't we go up there and see how secretive they're trying to be?
Fair point. Why plan when we don't know?
we have two warehouses we need to look at. I say we start with the one at the dock.
So there's the one at the dock, which is about in the middle of the city, and there's the one that's closer to the southern side, where you guys are at.
We'll start with the one closest to us.
Might be
Yeah, the one in the middle of the city would
Alright,
probably
like
take us
this
a day or two to get to.
Not by canal.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
true.
I said that, even though technically it's like
Walking
600
taxis
miles, it's,
is-
the walking.
I
the
looked at
walking
my
water
pictures and I have a
taxis.
boat with like 3 feet. And I was like, what the hell is this?
Oh,
It's the water taxi.
It's just it's 2 paddle wheels, but instead of the paddles, it's just a bunch of feet.
Yep. All right, so you guys head to this kind of closer dock. It's getting late into the evening. Everybody who is out is either going to parties, coming from parties, at parties like that are on like a patio or something like that. And then you get to this warehouse, and you see that there's a single. It's not an ogre; it's a half giant sitting outside. So he's not quite big. Like he's probably a little bigger than a Goliath would be, and he's just sitting there. He's got like kind of hodgepodge plate armor on, and as you approach, he just goes, "Token."
This was pretty easy.
We have a token.
Was that
Show
your
me
token?
token.
I will say,
No.
I'll.
Do you have a token?
I believe so.
Yes, and I will just like maybe it's in my coat or something, and
Mhm.
kind of just
flash it, looking
Okay.
around.
Important thing to note: where is the badge that you got for House Crestor? Is it?
Oh,
It
I
is
got
in the
that.
same area.
It would be in the same area, yeah.
All right. So he leans forward and he squints his eyes, and he goes, inside to the left if you want to register, to the right if you want to bet. Center for watching.
Perfect. And is there any particular
What do you call it?
billboard type events going today? Any good big fights I should be aware of?
Wouldn't know. I'm on the outside.
Fair.
Enjoy. Then he kind of pushes the door open. You can hear kind of shouting and cheers from inside.
These
Who all is one?
With the entourage.
these they help me. They're my confidants.
Team match, I understand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the inside of the warehouse is just kind of like
I wasn't
expansive,
sure what we were gonna do. I was
big
like,
wooden buttresses for those of you interested in such things. And
They're not pretty to look at, but they're functional.
Yeah, there's about 4 or 5 large. They almost look like sandboxes. They've got kind of wood frames surrounding it, and they're full of there's rocks and other stuff. And you can see inside these sandboxes, it's either a kind of one-on-one match of different types of small creatures, whether it's a tiny little imp fighting an elemental, or you've got one where it looks like it's kind of like a skeletal hand that's kind of crawling along and fighting a mechanical construct of some kind, just kind of like this barrel-chested, tiny barrel golem almost. And then there are others where it is multiple on each side, sort of a team match, and people are cheering and shouting and everything. Off to the right, you see a goblin that's kind of just writing in a big ledger. It almost looks like he could be from Six Hills with the way that he's writing things down and talking to certain people as they approach, checking over. Some guy puts up a new construct that looks like it's a mechanical cat, and he starts checking it over and measuring the size, the weight, talking about the individual stuff in it. And then on the left is an Axtoli, and they're taking bets and calling out different numbers and everything. There's a second Axtoli behind him writing all the numbers down and everything. And then at the far end of the room, you see a single door kind of framed in gold, at least painted gold. And there are 4 more of these half-giant soldiers, but these ones are in full plate, and they're just kind of lounging around with large great swords and great axes, just watching the proceedings as they happen. And then there is kind of a large balcony thing, but there is this kind of purple shimmering bubble, so it looks like almost as if you guys can't see through it, but you can almost hear people on the other side of it.
Okay.
I wonder if we need to go through the big gold door.
Let's
pretty
find out
beckoning.
if Braff is here tonight, if he's fighting tonight.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like that.
To the
Who
betting
would
board.
we ask?
Betting board.
Sure.
Yes.
Bookies.
The goblins.
Yeah, so the goblin is the registrar.
The Axtoli is the...
Yeah, the Axtoli
Okay.
is
Over the Axtoli.
the betters.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some cookies. So who is taking point?
Not me. You. Or you. You have good charisma, right?
Yes. Yeah, so I'll just walk up to the Axtoli.
There's a little bit of a wait in line, so you guys can watch a little bit of the matches going on. It looks like it's either just a fight to the death. Sometimes it looks like there's a specific obelisk that one of the teams is standing around trying to do something to the obelisk while the other team is trying to rush them. And then every now and then you'll see one where it's almost like a siege on a castle kind of thing.
When I got the for the Braff Merrick on the contract, does it have any kind of physical descriptions?
Yeah, it gave kind of it gave you a description of a guy with a crooked nose and stringy black hair. He is he's actually a hobgoblin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually want to just grab one of the observers, the fans, as they're passing by, and I just kind of grab them and be like, "Hey, do you know we'd heard? Is the champion fighting tonight?"
Champion's not fighting anybody as far as I know. They're here up in the VIP section, but they're not fighting anybody currently.
Is that the little purple bubble up there?
Yep. pretty nice up there from what I hear.
So what do you have to do to get into the VIP room?
Be a champion or pay a crap load of money.
Time to stealth in.
Speaking of which, you got any you got 5 gold on you? I'm kind of short a little bit.
Sorry.
I want to, if she's talking, I want to basically come up on and be actively watching to make sure this person's not like a cut purse that is gonna.
Okay, go ahead and just give me a perception check.
Take her watch when they shake hands or something.
My sundial.
Perception, you said?
Yeah.
10.
Yeah, I mean they just kind of walk away after that. So.
Okay. Well, it looks like he's not fighting, but he's here. Not quite sure how we get up there, though, unfortunately. We might have to come up with a good story. Or, I don't know, cause a scene.
I don't know, those half giants look pretty mean. You got beat up by one already today.
In a good way.
Yes. Perhaps we sneak around a bit. Seems like it'd be easy to be not seen in this kind of crowd.
That's fair.
I'm not terribly sneaky.
Clink, 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 clink.
Perhaps a quick scour of the area would give us an idea.
Do you want to compete?
It's not full-size fighting, is it?
No, they're all like tiny creatures.
Yeah, they're all constructs or
What is
small
your
creatures.
bird?
Does
it do any fighting?
I didn't really build it for that, but
Put a laser on it or something?
It isn't here
it's
though.
very
What's a
ill-tempered.
laser?
Yeah, it's back at the...
Put the I don't know.
Blind.
Put the
A
catapult
scorching
on
ray
its head.
Yeah, scorching.
Scorching ray, Jim.
I guess I'll
Okay.
sneak around and see if I can see if there's any ways
Okay.
in service doors or I don't know.
Okay. Are you sneaking around the outside or the inside?
I'll stay inside because there's
Okay.
the crowd. I can kind of weave in and out. And
Yeah, go ahead and roll me a stealth check first of all.
It's like Assassin's Creed walking through.
yeah,
Trying to blend in.
19.
19. Yeah, so you can go ahead and you kind of just idly sneak around and observe. You don't find any other entrances, any sort of service entrances or anything like that. You do see every now and then a servant will come out the golden door, which just appears to have just blackness beyond it, and then they'll come back in and the giants will check them over. Each time the servant comes in, the giants will check them and then let them in.
All right.
I'm gonna be watching his back while he's doing that.
Who was it that took the symbol of the infinite sight off of that big? What did we do with that?
It's still in my bag.
Oh, yeah. Well, it looks like our only ways in are the big golden door. Either lying our way in or fighting our way in.
You want to get help?
I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar.
Perhaps that infinite sight symbol that we took off of, that both took off of the.
Is it the same material as the door?
No.
If perhaps flashing that to the right person might get us access.
It's possible.
It's a little large, I know, but.
Thulian Crawl sent us. That ought to do it.
Or perhaps you might be able to tinker something together to mimic the larger version that might look like some sort of badge or something.
I can add it to my collection.
I'll notice the crest star badge. That big.
Oh!
I actually have, I have the Crester
Yes.
badge written down. I'll
Yeah.
actually take it out here because if you've got it.
No, you all have one.
We all have
Oh, yeah, we all have a.
Yeah,
Oh,
you all
that's
have.
right.
You all,
I was
you all
telling
can
him,
fly.
don't flash that around here.
Yeah.
We'll get beat up. The wrong gang color.
So are we going to pose as one of the infinite sight, or do we want to?
I would just say perhaps we approach the half giant, say we have business with Braff, flash that symbol, and see if it gets us in.
If it doesn't, I can kill whoever wins and take their thing.
It's a very honorable, Victor.
They're all here under. This is all dishonorable.
Would you kill Janjan if he was the winner?
No, now you're making me feel bad.
Moral quandary.
It is a moral conflict. I don't know them yet. Don't tell me their backstory.
Okay, so what's the plan?
I mean,
If he can produce the
as
sign.
an artificer, don't you have an ability that lets you
I have magical tinkering where I can imbue tiny objects, but it's basically light, 6-second long recorded message, odors, or non-verbal sound, static visual effect, up to 25, and including up to 25 words of text.
So visual effect, would that be like, can you make it look like something? Like a minor illusion?
No, it wouldn't be
No.
a minor illusion type thing.
Okay.
There is like some sort of like you can copy a mundane object or something like that. That might be a Cleric of the Forge thing. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Wow.
How big is this symbol that you took off the?
Yeah, like it's not
pretty
like
big.
a
Would it
mundane
fit
thing.
inside of your chest cavity?
No.
Okay. Because like I want a way to just sort of like flash it and where it doesn't look like weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why do you have that big, huge thing? Like, but I don't know. Like, that's all I got. I think it's worth a shot.
I think it's worth a shot.
Strap.
We could always fight our way in if we have to,
Let's
but
try it.
we can try the nice way.
Sure.
Do you want to take point and I'll just back you up?
Yeah, maybe if we make kind of a line in front and Bolt shows it from behind, they won't be able to get like a clean look at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Let's try it.
Okay, so you guys start
Actually-
marching over.
Sorry. Could I take Craggy and turn it into like maybe a badge-sized version of an infinite sight symbol?
Sure.
Okay, then that's
Yeah,
what I'll do.
that's a mundane
That's
item.
easy. Just be like,
Yeah.
be like, we got this. Let's go.
So you guys get about 30 feet to the guards when they all stand up and grab their weapons.
Okay.
And one of them says, "That's far enough."
I just say, we have business with Braff.
Braff doesn't take business here. Who are you?
I'm sure he'd want to see us, and I just want to sort of try and discreetly show them the
Okay.
infinite sight symbol.
The half giant will stare at it for a moment and he'll say, "Who are you guys?"
We're part of an organization that he is involved with, and we have business with him.
I don't know anything about anything that you're talking about.
Well, it's going to be your neck then when he finds out that you refused us entry.
Go ahead and roll me intimidation, but you will have disadvantage because he honestly does not know anything about the symbol that you flashed.
Cool. Let's see. That's a 20. A
20?
dirty 20.
And he sits there and he knocks on the other side and the door opens and just a crack and he goes, "See if Braff wants to see 5 people. Hand me the symbol."
I'll give it to him.
I also say, like, here, take mine. You know, and hand it the big one.
I'm going to have to ask you to make me a Constitution saving throw. You're basically going to have to concentrate while the symbol's gone so that it doesn't revert back to its natural.
He's just holding it. It goes into
state.
craggy.
Well, it was a flute before it was that. I don't know what it would go in, what it would turn into, I suppose.
And
But
so he
anyway.
hands it to the person inside and the door closes.
Okay.
Oh, this is risky.
That's a natural 20.
Well done.
So it takes about 10 minutes, and then the door opens back up and the symbol is passed back out,
Okay.
and the half giant hands it to you, and then he leans down and he listens for a moment and he says, "Braff says that you shouldn't be here. If you have business of that regard," and he stops and listens again, "you'll need to head to the usual hideout."
Right. Thank you. We'll meet him there.
Have a good evening.
You too. And, like, as we walk away, I'll say, like, once we're kind of out of earshot, I'll be like, it's got to be the other warehouse.
Possibly. We could track him.
I can
Follow
tail him if you want.
Maybe we ought to wait and see where he goes.
I can follow him after, like, stick to the shadows. It's not unusual to follow a mark.
Let's do it. Let's do that.
We'll have to figure out where he usually leaves from, but
Is there only, like, for most part, is there one entrance in, one entrance out, as far as we can tell?
Yeah, it is just the one entrance in and out.
Okay.
I'll sweep around the back just to make sure there's not any secret doors.
Okay. All right. Eve, anything that you want to do? Bolt, anything that you want to do?
Why don't we sort of spread out and just kind of keep an eye?
Do we even know what he looks like?
No.
Just looking for a Greenwood.
Looking for
Knight.
somebody who's surrounded by bodyguards.
With blonde hair.
Blonde hair.
Okay. Blonde hair, air of entitlement.
Exactly.
Got it.
So it takes several hours. It's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning at this point. Everybody's getting a little bleary eyed, a little weary, before kind of things settle down and people start leaving. And then the golden door opens and Braff steps out, pretty recognizable. Blonde hair. I mean, you probably told everybody everything about Greenwood. Blonde hair, half elf, kind of that flat top cut, kind of short trim.
He looks like a Braff.
He does look like a Braff. He looks like a Braff. And he is wearing like a full suit of armor that has the Greenwood colors on it. He nods to the half giant guards, and they all kind of make formation around him. And as he does step out, like 2 more guards squeeze through the door and come through, and you can see that they're carrying like giant crossbows and everything. And so they all start kind of marching out. They basically surrounded him at this point, and they start marching out with him.
How many total?
6 total, plus the one at the door, but he doesn't follow. So
Easy peasy.
you guys follow along behind Braff.
Zach Braff.
Is his half brother. That's like on the family tree. His little branch was just like placed on there.
He's
It was glued on.
Got it.
Grafted.
Anyway.
Originally from
Wordplay.
House,
Yes.
obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys follow along. I'm gonna need, if you guys are gonna follow him for too long, I'm gonna need stealth checks.
I'm going on the roof.
Okay. So I'll need an acrobatics check.
Are they
as
taking
well.
like a main route, like on a main road, or are they doing a lot of like back turns and?
They're just they're taking a main road.
Okay.
26 on my acrobatics.
Okay, and then give me yourself.
How far back would you have to be to avoid like a lot of stuff?
Far enough that you couldn't see them. They are pretty actively these guards are not messing around. They are looking around.
18.
18. Yeah, you can follow along.
I'd like to do the same.
Because Eve and I are not very
in front of
quiet
them.
when
No.
it comes to.
Nope.
And
Stealth.
how many people are on the streets? I mean, it's
It's 3 in the
cracked
morning,
dawn.
right?
Yeah, there's not that many people on the street. So
Okay.
anybody that they do see, gets pretty heavily scrutinized.
Next question.
Mhm.
How, like, I'm assuming the streets aren't particularly well lit, or are they? Like, is it pretty dark? Like,
No, I mean, Terrebonne City has a lot of like infrastructure with lights and everything, so they do have like magical lanterns, or they have like lantern keepers that
Okay.
go around
Okay.
and ignite them. So it's not like it's a super dark. I mean, it's a little bit shadier part of town, so some of the lights may not be working, but not nearly enough to be like, oh yeah, there you guys can go from shadow to shadow really easily.
okay. I was just thinking about casting darkness. But
So
that
before
might
we
stand
follow
out.
him,
Uh-huh.
let's roll back just a minute.
Sure.
You two are decent at stealth, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
So you try to do the roof stuff.
Yep, I'm on the roof currently.
Victor, if you could get ahead of them, perhaps.
lay some lives down.
That's what I was thinking. Is do the same thing on the rooftop, but just try and get ahead.
You're
of them.
pretty decent at it. Sarah's pretty decent
I'm
at stealth.
okay. Not great.
Why don't Eve and Bolt just not really care about stealth? Does that make sense? Like, just kind of just walk together and fake chat like they're old
drunk.
friends, you know.
I'll join you guys because I have half plate and that gives me
Yeah.
disadvantage. So
Maybe I've got like an arm underneath both of your
Sure.
armpits, and you guys are
Yeah.
kind of swaying a little bit, like, oh, let's get you two home, you know, type
Yeah.
of thing.
You're the DD.
Yeah.
but following maybe like 30 feet behind him,
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay. I
Yeah.
like that part.
Okay. Okay. So going ahead, I'm gonna need an acrobatics and a stealth check from Victor.
That is a 14 plus. So this is the acrobatics.
21.
So that is 21. And then
Are you doing the roofs too? Or...
19, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Basically stealth on others.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then
So you two
29.
are able to get ahead on either side of the roofs.
And like as we're going and like I'm like
That didn't look
doing
very
fancy
acrobatic.
things and then looking over and like being like, your turn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you guys are going back and forth and like who can be the
No, we're like,
stealthier.
I'm like rolling over a chimney quietly and landing, and then like,
They
See
constantly,
what he does.
You can hear whispering, parkour.
Hardcore.
Yeah, so you guys are able to get ahead. You're able to set up as many of your knives as you want in this.
I'll
this
probably
kind of
drop like
specific
4.
area.
Maybe Sarah can like kind of belt out
6 half giants and then
a drinking
Braff.
song kind of loudly.
Yellow,
just to
Yellow.
Yeah, I'll be singing Yellow, Yellow.
Sung to Rebel Rebel by David Bowie.
yellow, yellow.
But like basically like if you're throwing your knives down, like as soon as they get sort of near Victor's knives,
okay,
I want to cast darkness.
Okay. So what are you casting? Just on yourself, or
Right, from the halberd.
okay?
So after I put my knives down, basically I'm gonna place them in the street, just kind of like laying in the street.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of pull my cowl up.
They
and
need to be
kind of
past
sit.
them, right? So that you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
pull them
I'm
through.
gonna sit on the side of the road away from the knives, and basically just pretend to be a beggar, like
Okay.
a blind beggar.
So we'll say that the point that you can cast darkness, or that you do cast darkness, would be when they've already passed by Beggar Victor, and then Ezra is set up like with the knives on the one side, and then like as soon as you reach Victor, you can go ahead and cast darkness.
Cool.
And I think at that point the guards are they're vigilant.
You're still in front of them, right? Because that's what I was thinking. Is if you're on the other side, we can kind of flank them. Not flanking rules flank them, but
Yeah, like
catch
it
them
would
from
be-
two sides,
Yeah,
rather
sure they
than
can't escape.
let them pass
Farther,
you.
yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm ahead, and so I guess not. in
I'll
the
be
middle of the
ahead.
street. They'll
I'll-
just be on the sides, like
So it would,
random
would it-
tables and
yeah.
stuff.
So it would be when you guys reach the knives.
Right.
Like, that's
Yeah.
when
When
you cast
you stay with the knives, and when I see you do that, I'll kind of move like 2 roofs ahead, so they can't really
So
escape. Essentially.
if it's,
and you've got super range, so
Yeah.
so I want to stay within, like, because we said 30 feet.
darkness.
I want to be able to chain whip. It's not one of them.
Okay.
And pull them in, try to pull them towards us.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead, and the problem is these giants, specifically these half giants, they are vigilant, so they cannot be surprised.
Okay.
So there will be no surprise round in this,
That's fine.
unfortunately. But you can definitely rush forward as soon as the darkness kind of bursts out and this chain whip starts like coming forward. They shout an alarm and they bring like these big tower shields to bear, and
I want to cast chain whip like the split second before you cast darkness, because otherwise I can't see out of it.
Sure.
Right.
again, it wouldn't be a surprise round. You can't.
So assuming
you
you
can't really-
win initiative.
But I don't want any kind of like disadvantage or anything.
Yeah,
For
no.
being in the
Well,
darkness,
if
so I
the
can see
initiative
out of it.
dictates that he goes first, I guess it doesn't really matter, right? Because
Oh,
you're not having a
yeah, that's
surprise
true.
round.
Unless
Yeah.
he
Unless,
can
so
go
you,
away,
you'll have
he can
to.
go away.
So again, like because you can't get a surprise round, darkness will have to be on your first turn.
Good.
Yeah. So whoever goes first,
Gotcha.
and just to reiterate, casting or like attacking something outside the darkness doesn't impose disadvantage or advantage,
All right.
because
They can't see you.
Because they
you
can't see you
them.
either. Yeah.
So against what I thought was going to happen tonight, let's go ahead and get into combat.
Never plan stuff.
Hi, everybody. Cory from the future here. This episode had a lot of issues technically, and unfortunately, as part of those technical issues that we encountered, we lost the combat. Pretty much all of the combat that we ended up doing at the end of this episode was corrupted or destroyed in some manner or another. I blame Dr. Chaos, but other people just think it was technical issues. So instead of giving you a piecemeal combat kind of half-life thing, we're instead going to present you with a recap of said combat from Bolt's perspective, because there are a few interesting things that happened, and it was a rather intense battle. I hope you enjoy, and hopefully next time we'll have everything sorted out so that you can experience everything in full.
Sometimes things don't go according to plan. The plan was simple. Ezra and Victor slipped ahead of Braff Greenwood and his guards, with the knife dancer weaving through the alleys and our Tushan archer racing silently along the rooftops of Terrebonne. Meanwhile, I acted as the carrying guardian for Eve and Seredan, supporting the pair as if I were taking them home after a long night of drinking. When Seredan saw Victor waiting up ahead, she rushed forward, Craggy already spilling darkness to form her usual protective spell as she charged 6 half-giants and the noble. But our little surprise was not to be. The guards were vigilant enough to react quickly. One, wielding a sword far larger than the half-elf he was attacking, rushed to meet her, slicing in before her darkness could finish forming. Then they were covered in that inky royal, along with the 2 guards wielding crossbows that may as well have been gnomish ballista. The rest of the party didn't hesitate, thankfully. Eve charged in, her sword drawn and her determination set. I do envy Eve's ability to fight without the need for sight. Perhaps I should work to make sure Sere's darkness does not hinder my own ability to protect my friends. Victor recalled several of his knives that had been set up between him and his foes, drawing the ire of one of the guards as he did so. Victor has reflexes far above most, but sometimes even he can be slashed by a blade. When that blade is set with the force of a 10-foot-tall half-giant, a single hit can be devastating. That was the last I saw before I put the darkness between us. I moved in, my chain extended. I struck out into the darkness, grateful for such large opponents. Even without being able to see them, I could easily crack my chain above the heads of my allies and slash my foes. I heard the twang of an arrow, before a burst of orange energy flooded around the darkness. Ezra had entered the fray, striking the center of the bunched-up group in the hopes of striking our true target. Incapacitating Braff before he had a chance to react would have been a great boon. A second explosion followed shortly behind the first. Practice shots from our swift Tushin. I also heard the twang of crossbows as the guards returned fire on Ezra. They were unable to see him, but their large bolts were destructive enough that accuracy was not as important as it should have been. There was shouting from the guards, Braff commanding them to do something I could not hear. Then the shuffling of feet. I brought my shield to bear in anticipation of the wave of steel that was about to crash down on the 3 of us, but none came. Instead, there was another slash, and suddenly the darkness around us dissipated. The song of the choir interrupted. I saw that Braff and 3 of the guards had slipped down a side alley, retreating, while the other giants covered their escape. One of the crossbowmen had pulled out a large spear and dropped Seredan, a lucky strike that broke her spell and sent her to the ground, bloodied. I moved in and slammed my fist into the guard, the thundering strike causing small echoes to ripple across the armor and hinder the giant. Eve fell back, watching as the other crossbowmen, now unhindered by the darkness, lined up and delivered a devastating blow against Ezra, knocking the archer out of the fight. He would have fallen to the ground below if his leg had not been caught in a chimney chute. It looked horribly wrenched, but it was keeping him from clattering to the pavement below. I took stock of Victor, who slashed at the guard he was fighting once before falling backwards into the waters that ran through Terrebonne. I could see the logic, hoping to use the river to carry him downstream and away from his foe. But these trained warriors did not miss a step. A swift slash down into the canal from the half-giant was followed by a spray of blood, and Victor was down for the count. I hoped he wasn't dead. I had to turn my attention back to the spearman, stepping in to cover Seredan while Eve used the power of her gods to revive him. The giant drove his spear towards me, and I brought my shield up, as I had 100 times before. I guess 100 times was the limit for my shield, though, as the mighty blow from the giant was stopped but left my defense cracked and broken, crumbling away from my arm. In just a few short moments, our ambush had become a massacre. Half of my friends were down for the count, and Eve and I were looking a little better. As the giant reared back again, ready to slam his spear through me much as he had Seredan, I felt it, a desperate need, not to flee or to enact vengeance, a need to protect my friends with all the strength of my being. These 4 misfits, who had already helped me unlock so much about myself, needed my help, and I would do nearly anything to help them. And something responded. A flash of light burst from my personally made bag of holding, its glow flaring throughout the night. At the same time, I felt my chest open up and a burst of magic stream forth. I could feel the emotion again stream out, the despair that I was feeling rushed forward and encompassed the giants in front of me, slowing their movements and knocking them off their rhythm. The spearman slipped in his grip just enough that I could dodge out of the way. Meanwhile, Seredan was rising, her eyes flaring with rage. The other crossbowman pulled a spear as well from his back, stabbing forward to stop her before she could re-enter the fight. Without realizing it, I moved to intercept. It was habit to bring my shield arm up, to protect my ally despite the lack of cover for myself. But something about that glow made me realize that I could still protect my friends. Liquid metal flowed from the bag as I moved, the brilliant light of the old steel I had kept on my person dulling and transforming into my own personal magic. The metal flowed up my body, then down my arm and solidified it into a new shield, one infused with magic that would let me spare my friends some pain. The shield absorbed the blow meant for Seredan, sending the bottled energy of the blow my direction instead. It was painful, but manageable when compared to the alternative. The guard was so rattled that Seredan was easily able to dodge the other strikes, her royal of shadow reforming as she became a singing whirlwind of death. Eve, seeing that Seredan was safe, took off across the nearby bridge, her eyes locked upon Ezra's dangling form. I watched the cat-like grace at which she jumped from crates to the roof of the building. She was truly skilled, and her goddesses made her even more so. I hung back, whipping my chain and providing what cover and aid I could to the cacophony in the darkness. The third half-giant marched into it as well, but the repeated cursing and grunts of pain had me believe that Seredan was once again in her element. Then I spotted the bobbing form of Victor in the river. I rushed to the water and pulled him from the canal. He was in bad shape, water in his lungs, blood on his stomach, but nothing that my own power couldn't help mend. I infused him with healing magic, sending him into a coughing fit before he thanked me and stood weakly. Then his blades were around him again as he dove into the darkness with Seredan, eager to enact his own personal form of revenge. Before long, it was over. The shouting stopped and the shadows dissipated, leaving only the natural dark of early morning in its wake. Seredan and Victor were bloodied and barely standing, but the half-giant guards were in a heap around them. Eve helped a limping Ezra back to the group, all of us tired and aching from effort. Then we started to hear new, distant shouts. The city guards of House Whitetail were approaching, drawn, no doubt, by the commotion. With no other recourse, we made as quick a retreat as we could, fleeing back towards the Satin Cat. I am loath to put this burden on Janjin, but we couldn't very well lead the guards to our patron, and we had nowhere else to go. As we moved, my shield began to liquefy again. I worried that the magic of the Ald Still was spent, but when the metal flowed around my left arm and solidified again, I knew that it was magic that I could call upon when needed. And I had no doubt that I would, sooner or later. Bolt.